right, guys, welcome back to the Scale Success Reptile podcast. It's the fourth Tuesday of the month, so that means we got a Western Hognose breeder. And this show, we have one all the way from Taiwan, from across the world, joining us tonight. I'm really excited because we haven't had too much, at least to the general public, had too much information coming out of the Asian market to us. So Gray Matter Reptiles is his IG. So make sure you guys, his links in the description. Make sure you follow him after the show or during the show. Right now we have 7 viewers. Make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's get some shout outs going right now. We have a good amount of people here already waiting to talk about the Asian market and the Western Hognose. See, we got Joey Meteoric Serpents. There, I got it right. The man himself, Vienna Reptiles, Emilio, what's up? Bosa, how's it going? And also, all these guys, thank you guys for stopping by the table, saying hi and talking to us here in Daytona this past weekend. It was a great weekend. Me just meeting everybody in person, catching up with the reptile community and making new friends. So we got North Star Exotics. Thank you for stopping by. Golf Casey, thanks for stopping by also at the table. Morph Valley Reptiles, what's going on? Thank you for joining us. We got a lot of V Unit supporters here that are part of the V Unit with us. Dustin, how's it going, man? Thanks for joining in. Blue Tongue Republic, how's it going? Thanks for joining us. Austin Factor, thanks for joining us, man. Head Hogs, what's up? What's up? We got definitely me and Nirvana are here watching. Great, thank you for watching us. Really appreciate it. Billy, B&M Hogs, thanks for joining us again. TNA Snakes, thanks for joining us. All right, guys. So quick little update before we get to the to the guest. So like I said, this past weekend was Daytona. Great. Meeting everybody in person, making new friends and talking a lot about hognoses. We had some late night conversations with some friends with hognoses and, really looking forward to doing it again next year. Also, I want to remind everybody that we have many babies that are ready. We only have a few posted on Morph Market, but here in the next couple of days, we're definitely going to add a lot more to Morph Market by the end of the week. So stay tuned. We have a lot of het lavender, coral stuff, some albinos, some RB pastels. We have actually decided to let go one Arctic sable het toffee male that will definitely be going up there. And it'll probably like another week or two. We got some coral stuff that will be also going up there, actual visual corals. All right. So that's on my end. My season of hatching babies, it's about done. Everything hatched while I was gone through Daytona. So I have a few videos I got to upload to the YouTube channel. All right. We have a couple more people jumping on. Enchanted Hogs, how's it going? Thanks for joining. And again, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, go follow us on YouTube, and do the same for the guest. So without further ado, we're about to bring this guest on because we're going to have a lot of good conversations about Western hognoses. All right, everybody, we'll see you guys in a few. All right. So everybody, I want to introduce Ethan from Gray Matter Reptiles. Like I said, all the way from Taiwan. It's probably, what is it, like 7 something in the morning on your time, right, Ethan?
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Hi, Alvaro.
Hey, so I wanted to give everybody a heads up too. We're gonna have a translator right here with us, so bear with us. Eaton's pretty good about understanding English, but she's going to translate it back to me from his language to English. And if you guys have any questions about him in the Asian market or in the Taiwanese market, Western hognoses, or other reptiles, make sure you guys put a comment in the section. We'll bring them up. All right, Ian. So tonight we're going to talk Western hognose, right? So the first thing I want to tell you is introduce yourself a little bit. How did you get into Western Hognoses? How old are you? And what was your favorite current project you're working with?
OK，我大概是在2018年的时候，那2017、2018年的时候开始养西部猪鼻蛇。那之前都是养球蟒或玉鼻蛇。对，那主要是因为觉得猪鼻蛇的外形啊、习性、动作，我觉得它算是玩具蛇，就是宠物蛇里面算是特别可爱，然后行为特别丰富的一个物种。所以我们那个时候就跟我太太，我跟我太太两个一起开始饲养猪鼻蛇。慢慢的数量越来越多，然后开始繁殖，开始接触很多欧美的、国外的一些资讯，然后越来越产生兴趣，就越养越多这样子。
So in 2017 and 18, my wife and I started to get into raising these Western hognose. I found that compared to other pests, because I used to raise other snakes, and I will let Eden introduce the other species that I don't know the name of in English. Eden，您知道您之前说的那一种蛇类的名称吗？英文名称就是1718年之
我是
前养的那个。
对，就是从这个 corn snake 跟 ball python 开始。Yeah, from corn snake and ball python to hognose snake.
And I found the difference is the hognose, they as a pet, they're extremely cute, lovely, and also their behavior is a lot more multifaceted. So that attracted me to breeding this hognose with my wife. And also gradually I get exposed to the European and the Western market of these hognose lovers. So that's how I gradually started.
You know, it's really interesting that you're started with your wife as well. So I'm guessing that she must like reptiles too. Um, and did you guys like reptiles before you met each other, or did you introduce her to reptiles?
正确来说应该是 she introduced reptile to me. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Her first snake is corn snake. So she buy a corn snake and she introduced me.
That's really cool. That's really cool. That's pretty.
That,
That usually, uh,
yeah.
usually is the other way around. Usually the husband introduces the wife, or kids introduce the parents. But that's cool. So since you guys are a team, is it you guys do almost the same everything together, or are you more specifically to Western hognoses and she likes corn snakes and ball pythons? I guess, right?
我们现在目前养的大概90%都是西部猪鼻蛇，只剩下一点点的 corn snake 跟 king snakes。那主要都是我太太在照顾，大部分的时候都是她在照顾，包含繁殖的工作，然后平常的饲养、记录、喂食这一些。那我的话就会比较多的是做一些进口、出口啊，买卖啊，然后同时我也会跟她一起就是去照顾，就是去做繁殖这整个的工作跟规划这样子。
So as a team, that now over about 90% or even more are mainly the noses, and less than 10% are corals and the others. As for our different responsibilities, my wife actually undertake most of the caring, day-to-day care, and also breeding, cleaning, these maintenance. And I'm mainly in charge of import export. And then some of the times I will also join to genetics planning, breeding plan as well, along with her.
Okay. So yeah, and then so she does seems like she does a lot of the caring day-to-day stuff. I know we spoke a little bit through Instagram, and you when you took a couple business trips. So if you're okay with saying, what do you do? It seems like you have another career also. What do you personally do in for business?
OK，林小姐，请问就是刚刚海芳老师问我是说我平时的工作吗？
他说他有注意到您有出差，所以他说他印象中您是否还有其他的就是其他的不相关的，就是可能您全职的或者别的从事的行业工作啊？
对对对，我本身其实是做文化产业的，就是做音乐跟做一些演唱会啊，或者是相关的工作，主要是做音乐啊，就是帮人家做音乐制作这样子。然后因为兴趣的关系，才开始办出租旅社，然后就越弄越多，就越搞越大。
好，那就是说您现在还是依然在从事音乐方面的工作，是您主要的一份工作是吗？
对我还是花非常多的时间，甚至比Reptile 还要多的时间在我的自己的本身工作上。那所以照顾的工作就大部分是落在我太太的身上。
谢谢Eden. So he started his career as a coach in the music production. And he still spend a significant amount of time in music production. That's why leaves his wife to undertake most of the the day-to-day care work for the reptile. So right now he believes he can still spend more time in his music production than the reptile business.
Okay, that's interesting. What kind of music does he produce?
我做蛮多 band sound，就是乐团，就是 rock band 的音乐，然后也做很多就是台湾这边的流行音乐。对，我可能到时候再传几个给 Alvaro。
Yeah, he's happy to share some of the music he produced. So both rock for some bands and also local Taiwan pop songs, pop music.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I think what is it like? Asian pop has become pretty popular here in the United States within the last few years too. So there's probably some listeners that maybe might know some stuff that you've produced.
哦，我想就是 I think you 应该是 K-pop 在美国现在比较多吧。
So he believed that K-pops maybe the most popular, one of the most popular Asian pops.
Okay, yeah,
In
yeah,
US.
for sure. Mhm. It definitely is. So, so a little bit about yourself. Seems like you guys, you guys are a team doing this together. And I like that because we're the same thing for us. My daughter's got me into Western Hognose, and now we do it as a family. So my wife helps. While I was in Daytona, she was feeding the adults on Friday. So I like that. There's more families coming, even from across the world. There's more family teams doing this together. Um, do you was I how I didn't I don't know if I asked you how old are you?
I'm 33.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm 34, so about the same age. So we are on the younger side of especially here in the US of the breeders, that came way before us. Um is are there do you guys have like very old breeders that have been doing it for a very long time before you started?
Yes, but those 就是怎么说，就猪鼻蛇在台湾算是一个近几年才开始比较盛行的物种。那刚刚 Alvaro 说的比较年长的 breeder，就是说大部分还是从养玉米蛇啊、球蟒啊这些物种开始，那甚至是其他的一些蜥蜴啊，或是手工，就是 gecko 这一些动物为主。玉米蛇反倒是说这最近这几年越来越多人开始加入跟关注在台湾。
伊人，请问您最后说的一个什么手珠？
手工就是 gecko、leopard gecko 跟 fattail gecko。
Okay. Hao, So he shared for Taiwan the older breeders because the hognoses are more like a recent fave. So recent favor. So the older breeders were raising other snakes and also other lizards like a few species he named like a gecko.
Okay. Okay.
And also so the corn snake and also corn snake.
So the Western
king
hognose
snake
and king
and
snakes.
king snake and ball python, yeah. 但还是有 but I know 2 or 3 over 10 years on hognose snake.
Oh, wow.
breeding. Yeah,
Okay.
but very 就是很少，数量繁殖这么久的很
Rare.
少。Yeah,
So
very rare.
it's these breeders are rare.
Yeah. And I'm gonna take a quick second because we had a couple people here that have joined talking about older, or not just older, but people that have been doing it for a while. We have a couple people that joined us here that are based here in the U.S. We have Ezelin Exotic Fire Hogs, and personally, he's one of the guys that has taught me a lot about the Western Hognose, about the breeding process, and he's been doing it for a while now too. Um, and then we have let's see who else jumped on here. We're talking about him, JMG. Jeff Galewood, another guy that's been doing it for a very long time. So it's good to see that even them being in it for a long time, they're here because they want to see what's going on across the world. So, and I know you said you had some animals from Jeff Galewood from JMG Reptiles, right?
对yes, but maybe September arrive.
Okay, so you're waiting for an import to get to you.
Yeah, I'm waiting there. Yeah.
Cool. Have you bought from any other U.S. breeders?
Oh no, this is my first time.
This is your first time. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, 之前都是 from Europe.
From Europe also. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you where did your first couple hognoses, did you buy it in Taiwan or did you import them?
In Taiwan. My first maybe 20 or 25 Hognose, all from Taiwan local.
Okay.
Yeah, and
So,
I buy 20 to 30 Hognose, then I import from Europe. Yeah.
Okay. So how big is your collection right now? We'll say with breeder stock, like holdbacks that you're gonna plan to breed in adults.
Yeah, this year I breed about 600 babies, and my breeder yes my 我的可能要麻烦连小姐翻译，就是说我的可能不然我问的是我的自留的种群，就是我的种公跟种母的数量，那合计大概是150只左右。
150只是您用来就是用来交配的嘛，对不对？繁殖的。
Yes， 就是。
然后您说您刚刚用
Hognose mothers
然后他刚刚第二个就像您说到的，您今年一共已经成功繁殖了600条，
差不多
孵出了，对吧？差不多，因为这是蛮惊人蛮大的一个好大的一个规模。So 150, like he described it, he used as a breeding parents. So he have about 150, and then and early on he shared he successfully hatched 600.
That's very good because
babies this year.
That you're hitting really high numbers, especially with successful hatching. So you're producing a good amount of babies. Let me ask you, these babies that you produce that you sell is going directly into the Asian market, or do you also export across the world?
主要都是most of them export to Asia, like Hong Kong and Malaysia and Japan. Yeah, 那很少到欧美国家去，所以主要就是这个其实也是今天可以跟阿宝聊，就是说其实在亚洲市场这几年，猪鼻蛇的饲养跟繁殖是非常非常兴盛的，然后尤其是在台湾跟中国都发展的很好。
Okay, yeah. So, what he wants to share today, he feels that the last few years, the hognose market in Asia is booming, and then both in mainland China and in Taiwan as well. So this year, so all he hatches, he believes the majority will remain in Asia. Only will be a handful amount maybe exported to other market.
Okay, that's good. how hard is it difficult to export stuff out of Taiwan into other countries or even to Europe or the US?
麻烦连小姐协助一
哦，
下，刚刚
请问
没有听清。
您一下，他说那个出口的话，就您比如说猪鼻蛇这样一个品类的话，从离开台湾的出口，尤其说比如说到欧洲，会很困难吗？
其实台湾算相对容易很多的国家，就是做进出口。然后我自己做出口，其实我都是委托就是专业的出口商，就是报关行去处理这些事情。那他们对于处理动物的运送也都很专业，所以我并没有太担心。其实这也算很合理。
好好。So he believes that Taiwan is the one of the few this hognose import export friendly market. It's very easy. And also for export, he actually just fully authorized a freight forwarder who has the expertise to export reptiles to handle all by the agent himself.
Okay,
对，
so
那主要是sorry，我补充一点，就是说主要是出口的每一次出口的一箱的成本，包含就是刚刚说的出口业者的他们的人力的成本啊，然后机票运输的成本相对来说比较高，所以通常要出口一次的量可能也不能太小，或者是金额也不能太小。那最主要来说，难度主要是来自于就是客人要跟你买的时候。那就是说他要怎么找到你，然后你的东西要有足够多、足够好，让他可以选择。
好的，就是关键还是成本和量，就是出口的法规上之类这些都不难，从台湾来讲的话，是吧？
对，没错。
So he also underlined that the semi barrier is not about the regulations from Taiwan, but it's actually about the cost because to include a freight forwarder and air freight for not a traditional large container, but just a small, say that's a box. This cost, in order to be cost efficient, that either the transaction amount or the order quantity need to be satisfactory. To make this deal meaningful.
makes sense. Yeah. I think it's the same for here to Asia as well. Because I've a few people that have exported, it seems like you have to have a large quantity to make it, like you said, efficient and worthwhile to export out of US to Asia. So it seems like it's the same way from there to here. So
刚刚是有
as I say, and then so do you sell? How do you guys get your? Here we have. I don't know if you know Morph Market. Here we have Morph Market, so it's a big way for us to sell our reptiles, hognose, ball pythons, whatever it is. Is there something like similar to that to in Taiwan or the Asian market?
No， 这个我们也非常期待，也很羡慕，就是说在美国有这么好的一个平台，可以做大家做这个兴趣上的交流。那目前在台湾，甚至是亚洲，我目前是不知道有像 More Market 这样的平台，也很期待说，就是近年看有没有办法有人自己在亚洲做这个东西。
So no, not to his knowledge. That not only there's no such branding equivalent brand in Taiwan, but also he understands there's no equivalent brand or the morph market in Asia as well. So that's why he's highly looking forward to similar brand or morph market entering to the Asian market. Because this is such a wonderful marketplace for their breeders.
对，所以我觉得就是说，目前在亚洲要把繁殖 reptile 就是当成一个事业来经营的话，是一定要经营自己的品牌，就是可能还是要弄一个 Instagram 啊，然后你要去宣传自己，让就是大家知道你有在繁殖，你有在专注在这个专业跟销售上面。那他可能就是说，大家必须要靠自己的方式才能找到你，并且跟你购买。那没有办法说有一个像 More Market 这样的网站去找到，就自己要宣传自己才行。
So that's why for these professional breeders like them who takes this as a serious career, they have to be self-reliant, using their own channels like Instagram, maintaining and then promoting themselves. Because they lack of a morph market, that established online resource.
Okay. See, so you guys are still in the early phases. Have you heard of anybody maybe able to or is going to soon start something like that, or is still maybe far from starting?
要麻烦一下刘小姐。
哦，您知道，因为您说现在不但台湾没有，据您所知，亚洲可能也没有 Morph Market 这样的电商吧？那或者是这样一个网站平台，那您觉得您有没有听说有没有人想做这样的，就是为这样的业者来做搭建这样一个平台的情况，或者有哪家公司或者品牌，您有知道吗？将要做这样的事情？
我目前都没有听说，但我觉得最大的困难就是在亚洲普遍还没有认知到，就是说在 reptile 这个东西上面，在爬虫这个东西上面有足够大的市场，或是说普及性也没有到那么高，去让任何一个资方愿意去投资做这样的平台。那我相信在 Morph Market 一开始可能也是因为美国、欧洲啊，已经在爬虫繁殖上已经非常非常多年，已经是一个很成熟的环境，所以自然就会有环境使然，所以会有人愿意投入去做这件事。那目前至少在台湾是还没有这么好跟成熟的环境。
好。No, because he believes for Europe and the US, the overall reptile breeding has been a very mature. It has a long history, come a long way with a very mature environment. But in Asia, he believed the overall acceptance of the reptile, the acceptance is in terms of like this is a commercial business. There's still little acceptance of the reptile business or this reptile market. So there's no traction for the capital to build this e-commerce platform for Asia and for Taiwan.
Okay. See, and that's interesting because even though we here in the U.S. Have pushed a little bit more further into it being accepted, you still, to this day, if I tell somebody I breed hognoses or I have snakes in my house, I get the face like, "Oh my god." How is it with the like maybe family members, friends, or people that you meet when you tell them you have reptiles and that you breed them?
我虽然大概听得懂，但还是请刘小姐帮我再讲一遍好，我怕有漏。
他说：“其实您说的这个很有意思嘛，他就分享了他虽然在美国，那如果他跟别人说，就是朋友提到说，哎，他在家里面不但有蛇，就是他说是爬行动物嘛，他其实是个蛇。那然后他还孵化这些，那别人肯定会就是会大吃一惊，会吓到的。那就是他就说，那您这边如果跟友人和家人这样提到说，我们其实应该说蛇，因为他在美国说养蜥蜴肯定是没问题了。”所以您觉得，他就想问您的家人和朋友会有什么反应
？OK，在台湾其实我觉得蜥蜴啊，应该也接受度也会比蛇高很多。那最主要是刚刚讲到的，就是说 leopard gecko 跟 reptile gecko 其实接受度目前在台湾是非常高的。很多年轻人或者是家庭也会把这两个物种当成一般的小宠物来饲养。那讲到蛇的话，确实，比较就是说接受度会相对来说比较陌生一点。那我跟身边的人讲到的时候，其实大家也会以为就是说我只是兴趣养一养，但没想到养这么多，然后也会吃惊。那我觉得这相对来说也是，我觉得可以聊的一个点，就是说，虽然在市场上接受度，在这环境上接受度还没有那么高，但是也意味着它的发展空间还很大。就是如果大家都已经把这东西视为稀松平常，那就代表这个物种已经发展的很成熟、很饱和。但是如果现在大家都还对这个物种很陌生，其实就代表了你现在开始饲养它、繁殖它，你会是在开发这个作为宠物或是作为收藏这个物种的先驱，作为领跑者在台湾这个市场，甚至亚洲。 所以我觉得这个时间点对我来说，我是觉得是一个很好的时间点。
好，谢谢。So he clarified that if it's we're speaking of a lizard, as a reptile, then the acceptance in the Taiwan market is it's pretty high because it's like he named her two geckos like leopard geckos. These are very popular small pets in Taiwan market. However, if we are talking about serpent snakes, then it is a bit strange, and then they're less likely to be accepted by the Taiwan people. But again, also when he mentioned that if you raise a few of these, for him, if it was so, he's describing the people's attitude about snakes in Taiwan. That if just have a handful of them, then they consider okay, your friends think he has just a hobby. But then when they found out, okay, he had such a big quantity of them, so obviously they will still be very surprised. Um, on the other hand, he is describing this low acceptance of this particular reptile. Is actually revealing a huge potential as both a breeder or a collector, because that indicates the market in Taiwan or in Asia is not saturated at all. So it represents a great opportunity to enter, as a breeder or as a collector.
Okay, that's a great point of view where um, I think that's very important. Where and it's very similar to here in the U.S. and that's why another reason I did choose to breed Western Hognose was because it's not a saturated market like it is in Taiwan. Here, there's still room to be able to come in and you know be accepted or be somebody that actually be well known to produce good animals. Where in the ball python world, it is a lot harder because there is a, probably 100 times more ball python breeders than there is Western hognose breeders. So it seems like the same thing for Taiwan and probably
Yes,
just the whole Asian market. Um, out of all the Asian markets, what country has do you sell or maybe you've seen that likes Western hognose the most?
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong.
Yeah,
Okay.
but maybe I think everyone know we export to Hong Kong，代表着就是其实是中国这边的需求是很大的。
Oh, okay. So he's actually saying all the exports going to Hong Kong is actually a good representation or indication of a potential of the China mainland market.
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. Because of the exporting importing laws. Yeah, I
Yeah,
understand.
yeah, yeah.
Has it always been legal to own Western hognose in Taiwan, or was that a process that maybe somebody had to fight? Because I know in certain countries, certain animals weren't allowed, and then little by little, they've been able to import hognose or other species.
有没有麻烦连小姐一下？我刚刚中间有一点中断。
行，一等，然后那个前面他还问了一个蛮有价值的问题，我也再问一次您，因为我觉得可能您能分享到有用的就是观点。他说，其实您看到那个亚洲的话，除了台湾以外，您有看得到其他的最容易看得到猪鼻蛇的市场，就是您有说您出口到香港嘛？那其他的国家，整个亚洲，您有哪个国家的特别就是更看得到猪鼻蛇，或者说更普及，就是更就是对这个市场更为的，就是现在有孕育的有吗？
我自己接收到很多关于Malaysia 的询问，然后比较到马来西亚比较麻烦的是，他们可能据我所知，应该是可能一些检疫，就是那个 health certificate 的相关的规定比较复杂一点点。我据我所知啦，对，但出口的专业我还是会交给我的 agent 去处理。那我感觉到就是说，在马来西亚，然后泰国，然后还有日本，日本的爬虫的 产业应该来说相对来说也是蛮成熟的，但是在猪鼻蛇这个物种上面还有很多的空间跟很大的市场性可以发展，所以我自己在亚洲我会特别去注意经营日本及马来西亚这2个国家。
然后泰国，您是说就是他们，因为您刚刚提到泰国，简单的提一下，就是它只可能是偶尔受到一些询价，是吗？还是说
比较有趣的是因为泰国跟马来西亚2个国家是连在一起的，他们之间也有很多交流跟互动嘛，所以我有时候也会接到一些来自马来西亚的询问或是交流，但是其实可能跟泰国那边他们是一伙的。
好的，好的，谢谢。我先把这个您的回答翻译过去，然后到时候再下一个哈，您稍等。So Elvira, we had a retrospective because you asked a great question, 2 great questions, and then so he now just answered the other one about Asia, where you can see the hognoses, where else you can see hognose. So he shared actually he received most of inquiries other than Hong Kong from Malaysia, and also Malaysia bordering Thailand. So he gets so he so he received most inquiries from them. So he can see a very active market. But also he pointed out Japan has historically been a very reptile mature market. The only difference is the hognose market is new in Japan, but he has been paying a lot of attention to Japan as well. So that's his answer about the other market of the Asia about hognoses. For Malaysia, he just shared it seems like just there's a little barrier with the health certification, but he let the agent handle all the certification process, so doing the trade.
Okay, that's you see.
Yeah.
I like to, and that's a great answer because we always very think about sometimes when we think about the Asian market, we only think maybe Hong Kong and very few countries where now you're saying Malaysia, Japan, and that's great to hear, especially for the whole Western hognose community because we know that there is all over the world there's people that love this snake and it gives us more what's it called? How would I say? More power, more want to do it. To share our passion with everybody else all over the world. So, we had a quick question about one of our viewers. Do you keep any native species to Taiwan, or if you're allowed to, are you allowed to keep any native species?
No.
You're not allowed. Okay.
在台湾，原生的物种就是 native 的 reptile，就是说我们环境保育的这个法规相对来说就很严格，所以会很多的限制。那变成是说我们可能主要像玉米蛇啊，就是 cross snake 啊、ball python 啊，或者 hognose snake 这种外来的物种，相对来说会比较方便饲养一些，在法规上啊。那但也有一些外来的物种是因为会危害到台湾本地的环境的，例如说像绿鬣蜥，我想英文应该是 iguana， 然后还有一些大型的蟒蛇类，像例如说网纹蟒或者是那个红尾蚺，对，这些大型的蟒类目前在台湾好像也有一些相关的法规是禁止一般人饲养的，但是在小型的像玉米蛇、猪鼻蛇这一些都是可以自由饲养，或甚至是交流。
好，主要是台湾就是当局是可能担心的说是物种侵略是吗？就是外来的原生物种的侵略本地。
对的，因为像绿鬣蜥就是 iguana， 它会吃台湾的农作物，然后它在台湾是没有天敌的，所以它们会大量繁殖，然后也不会被其他的物种给捕猎，或者是数量上做一个环境上的平衡，然后侵害到本地的环境。所以现在是禁止饲养，以前可以，现在近年都没办法养绿鬣蜥。
好的，好的。So no, and you heard from him, and then he shared more details. Just Taiwan has always been strict, and it seemed to step up their law enforcement on the native species, mainly to protect the local environment. And then he named some like a boa and other large boas, and so those are prohibited now.
Okay. Okay. That,
And
and
then
that's
but however he said like other common or hybrid he named the reptiles, the say the corn snake, these are acceptable because they're not native.
mhm, okay. And that's interesting. Because it seems like their Taiwan is very concentrated from response, concentrated on preserving their nature. Is there how much within Taiwan? Is there a lot of development, like new cities coming up, and maybe taking away from that natural habitat and stuff like that?
Actually,
麻烦可以
Elvira,
再
I saw the Billy's original question. Did he mean actually Taiwan native reptile rather than imported native species from other countries?
Correct. Native any reptile species that are native to Taiwan. Yeah.
哦，OK，那个 Eden，您觉得说，我看了 Billy 提的那个问题，您看屏幕上面，他说如果是台湾的原生的蛇类会允许养吗？那我不知道这个原生物种会不会有濒危价值之类的。
对，一般都是不行的。就是如果说被台湾当地政府列为是保育类的话，是100%不行的。那其实据我所知，就即便不是保育类，就是一般的原生物种，你饲养或者是就是你，比如说你去野采，就是说去野外找到一些野生的蛇，或者你要自己饲养或干嘛，其实在法律上应该都不是太允许做这一件事情，因为主要还是环境保育的规定。
好的，就是野采的蛇类，就是从严格来讲的话，法国应该也是不主张您来养，如果是野采。
对，就是作为外来、作为宠物的物种比较可以。
好的。Okay, so if it's Taiwan native reptile, it's the same. If they're wild species, then you cannot breed them or you cannot raise them. Yeah, so they're like Alvaro, what you summarized. The government has always been emphasizing on the protecting the natural reserves.
Okay.
And
Perfect.
also the environment.
If and I know he's not allowed to, but if they were allowed to keep any native species, would there be one native Taiwanese species that he would want to keep?
如果允许假定假想的话，您有特别想要养的这个蛇类吗？还是说也可以扩展？如果没有特别想养的蛇类，你也可以扩展到就是爬虫类。
台湾有一些很吸引人的蛇类，就是例如说像黑眉锦蛇，或者是我黑眉锦蛇在英文上好像翻译叫中华美人蛇吧，好像叫什么 beauty snake 还是什么，我不确定。但我印象中，对，在国际上我很常在美国或欧洲的爬虫的展览上面有看过，在展览。对我觉得就是受到市场欢迎，我觉得是一个很开心的事情。对，但是我这边我是完全不会考虑说去持有或饲养台湾 native 的物种。
Okay. So, although he said there are quite some Taiwan native serpents that are very attractive, and so for himself, I think he said he refuses to. Just maybe it's from the moral point he won't raise any native species.
That's an interesting point of view. Especially with especially on this side where Western hognose is native to the United States. There's a few states that do not allow to breed commercially, and some states you have to request a permit to even receive a Western hognose.
我是清楚这件事情的，因为我也有看过一些相关的就是事情，例如说像当初Lucistic 在发现的时候，好像有因为当地的一些法规导致Lucy 的这个品系没有办法这么快的被大家开始做交流跟繁殖，然后有一些州可能也不准就是持有或进出。对，所以我也是很佩服，就是说朱比蛇能够在这样的限制跟规定之下发展到现在成熟的状态，我觉得对这件事情我是觉得很开心。那即便到目前我 我还是不是很清楚在美国这一块的法规的规定，就是说，所以猪鼻蛇在美国做进口跟出口也会有很严格的限制跟规定。就是说我从美国去进口蛇，我自己知道是好像没有什么问题，但是如果说美国当地要从欧洲或是别的国家要买猪鼻蛇进来，会有很大的限制。
您最后一个部分其实是想问 Alvaro 的问题是吗？就是当前猪鼻蛇在进出口的限制。Okay, so what you just shared, he was aware of, and then he said just to see how far the Hognose has come from, from what it started, and then in the environment that states have varied the regulations and laws based for these for the Hognoses, even for people to keep and leave alone for breeding. So he highly admired this process, the progress, and he also feel very satisfied to see how far away it has achieved, how much has achieved. He also has a question for you. That do you know? Speaking of the import and export for the U.S. market of the say just for the hognose, can you share something like is it easy, or is there still also some regulations vary by states?
For the Western hognose, within the United States, it's pretty easy to ship from one state to another. Other than the two states that have either are not allowed or you need the permit to be receive one, and then from out of the country, it's pretty easy too. From Europe and from Asia. Um, but I don't see too many people importing hog noses from out of the country to here. And I think we might need to change it, because especially with crossbreeding different bloodlines.
Yeah, especially that 如果有一些 new 有一些if there are some new morph or new gene like Antarctic, like Skullface, like Swiss chocolate, you have to import from other country, right?
Correct. Yeah, and it's pretty simple, like same process. You have an exporter that deals with all the paperwork, health certificate and everything, and you just pay the fee. I think right now from Europe here to Florida, I think it's like $230 to import all the way from Europe to Florida, which to me I thought it was going to be a lot more, but it's not that bad. You know, and I had told people that we're gonna speak on something very special tonight. And you mentioned it a little bit. So we'll bring this up because I know people are here waiting to hear what we're gonna talk about. Because there might be a new morph that's out there in the Asian market, and that's the Antarctic. What have you seen in the Antarctic? Because you've seen it in person. What have you seen that makes it different from any other morph?
OK，在聊到 Antarctic 之前，可能我先简单的讲一下，因为我相信现在网络上面一些在社群媒体上面已经有很多人在讨论这个新的基因。那但是可能大家也都是人云亦云啦，就是说看到一些照片或是听说一些状况，然后就大家在聊。但因为我刚好我上个月有去上海出差去工作，然后朋友介绍，我就顺道去了这个发现 Antarctic 的这一个繁殖者，他的繁殖场，我有去参观一下，我去拜访他，然后也跟他聊了一些事情。我们现在也偶尔也会在这个微信在 WeChat 上面偶尔会聊一下，我也跟他要了一些照片。那我当天去上海拜访的时候，我也自己拍了一些照片，然后也拿在手上，也实体的观察过。对，那我待会可以放一些照片，跟稍微聊一下他们的特征这样子。
So he heard and he also saw there's already heated community discussion about the Antarctic species. Oh, I'm sorry, the morph. But he went to Shanghai to meet this breeder, and also had a visit. And during his visit, they had a discussion about this morph. He took some photos while he was on site, along with the other photos that the breeder sent to him later, which he can share, during our podcast. He also played with the Antarctic in his hand. So later on, he thinks he can play some photos and then share some characteristics in particular.
Yeah, so I have some photos here, and I'm gonna share right now. So people can also, as he explains, people can see what we are talking about. There we go. So if you can tell us, this is a single gene Antarctic.
对，这个是就是单机的 Antarctic，然后我们可以看到就是说它的表现会稍稍有一点类似 Exantic 或者 Arctic，就是一点点缺黄的感觉，但它其实在纹路就是猪鼻蛇的纹路上面的改变也是很明显的，它会有一点点像你会看到它纹路会有一点点的雾化，然后变得有一点点模糊。然后甚至你可以看到它的底色也呈现一点点的微微的蓝灰色。那我自己觉得它，我也跟这个繁殖者聊了很多，就是说，有的人会怀疑说，哎，它是不是是某种不同表现的 Exantic 或者是 Arctic？但是其实有做过一些验证，跟这2年有繁殖做过一些验证。我先讲到这边好了，可以应该有可以。
好，谢谢。您说的那个纹路上的变化，一个是说好像觉得有模糊，还有一个是什么？刚才听不清楚。
它在颜色的表现上跟对有一点像雾化，然后颜色会有一点点类似像 Exantic 像缺黄，但是比起缺黄，它还是会带有一点点的灰的褐色。
好。So first of all, he said although there are other people debate about if this is just a morph of the Atlantic or the 一个是您说的一个是 Atlantic 还有 or Arctic. However, they did identify. I'm sorry, they did prove this is not just a morph from Atlantic or Arctic. This is different. From the pattern, you can notice the colors are a bit blurred, and then if compared to the Atlantic, there's still more grayish, and then so there's color shift from this Antarctic.
Yes, I noticed, that it's more, instead of just a very light gray or dark gray, it's almost like a bluish tone of gray. And I think that's, like you said, the discussion of if it's, another, just a different line of Arctic or Atlantic, maybe even you would say frosted, because the caramel gene in frost reduces the head pattern. So it seems like this gene not just doesn't just work with the color, but also works with the pattern as well.
我现在如果分享我的画面，2位是看得到的。
您是分享画面是吗？
我的画面，没有显示出来，是不是？因为我这边也想要秀照片，但是没有显示出来。
您要分享屏幕，问一下 Alvaro， do you think he can have like a host access to share his screen of other photos?
Yeah, let me see if I can. There we go.
有吗？有了哈。好，
有了，有。
OK。
他说可以让你。
现在你们有看到我的分享画面？
我的屏幕上现在看到的是5条蛇。
对，没问题。好，这个是应该说第一条，稍等一下，我找一下。OK， 这个是第一条最早的一条 Antarctic， 然后他在这位发现者，他的名字叫做徐佳佳， 那我是称呼为他家，我是称呼他叫家哥啦，因为他是一位就是在上海在那边也算是蛮资深的繁殖者，他已经就是做这一块很多年了。那他在发现的第一条 Antarctic 就是这一条。那当初他是以 Conda Hit Snow 的名义去购入的，在当时就可能觉得说可能是一条普通的 Anaconda，但是后来繁殖的过程中，可能因为我没有细问他，可能后来就是发现说，产下的子代有不同的表现，然后去反复的验证。好，先到这边，然后我再往下讲。
好，Eden，您刚刚说这是第一条发现的，被确认是这个就是 Antarctic 的，就是这样一个吗？这是第一条。
对对对，他当初在购买的时候是以为是 Anaconda Hit Snow 这个 morph。
哦，
So
然后这条是他
yeah,
买
this
入
is
的，
a
不是他自己
Antarctic.
繁殖的第一条。
对。
Yeah. So this is a Antarctic Conda het albino. So het snow.
Yeah, yes. This is the first one, Antarctic Conda Hit Snow. Yeah, but they didn't know this is Antarctic. They just know this is Anaconda Hit Snow.
So that's why he shared the breeder bought this very first one as Anaconda. They thought it was an anaconda, and then so that's the very first one he captured a photo. Also, Eden shared the breeder was pretty well established in Shanghai as a hognose breeder, Xu Jia, so Jia.
Yes.
Okay.
然后后来他把刚刚那一只养大之后呢，有做了一些繁殖上的验证。那这一胎是他跟一只 Exantic Conda Hit Albino 的母蛇去繁殖后繁殖下来的子代。那从这一胎我们就可以判断，就是说它这个基因的独立性。对，因为如果说它是一条Exantic Anaconda 的话，它不会产下 Albino Superconda 这样的子代，所以我们几乎可以确定，我们已经可以确定，就是说这个 Antarctic 它不是 Exantic。
So that's the photo we did. So that's the photo they did the genetic verification by introducing a female Atlantic conda. 母蛇是 Atlantic conda, snow. So through these babies, they knew,
Okay, and that's interesting because are these the darker babies? Are they supposedly Antarctic babies? Because like in super Arctic, they're born very dark like that as well.
Yes，在刚生下来的时候，它的颜色会比较深，然后也相对来说也比较没有办法很好的跟 Exantic 做分辨。但是随着长大，它的表现差异会越来越明显，越来越大。尤其是我们其实可以看到左上角那一只，它的纹路变化其实是非常明显的。我们可以看到它的头部的纹路，它相较于一般原生种头部的纹路，就是像中间上面那一只 Albino Superconda， 可以看到它头部的纹路，它会有一点点像 Super Arctic， 就是会有点断掉，然后有一些类似像变成两个圈圈啊，或是一些纹路的减退跟模糊化。
这张照片这些是宝宝是吗？还是说这是他们长大以后的？这是一个生下来宝宝的照片，还是说这些黑的已经是？好。So he introduces the newborns. The dark colors are yes, they are obvious, but once they grow through their growth, that these darker colors you will see they'll get lighter, and also especially the head pattern, they will form a distinct head pattern compared to the others, like authentic, or superconda.
Okay. And do they think this is a recessive or incomplete dominant trait?
Dominant.
Dominant. Okay.
Yeah. But this year， 今年徐佳佳她会尝试 Antarctic 配 Antarctic 去验证它有没有 super form。
好。So this year the breeder Shanghai Jia is going to try have a Antarctic mate with the Antarctic to verify.
If it's an incomplete and they could create a super form.
Yes.
Okay. That's very interesting to waiting to see if it is incomplete. Because with dominant traits, it does pass. You only need one parent, and it does pass on to the parent, to the child, to the offspring. But it's not easy replicated like incomplete dominance and recessives. So hopefully we cross our fingers that it is incomplete dominant.
Yes. I'm looking for if it is incomplete dominant. Yeah, super form. Yeah.
Have they has he done Arctic and Antarctic breedings
This year.
this year as well? Okay.
Maybe next year.
Maybe next year.
他并没有饲养很庞大数量的猪鼻蛇的种群，所以他其实并没有说像例如说像 Swiss Chocolate 像 Swiss Chocolate 一样，就是说他一发现他就跟好多不同的基因去做结合。他目前就是只有跟albino 跟 excentric， 然后 anaconda 这3个基因去做结合。
Albino, Atlantic, 还有anaconda. Okay.
Anaconda,
so this particular breeder, he doesn't maintain a huge line of the hognoses. So unlike Swiss chocolate 是另外一个繁殖人是吗？
Yes.
So this particular breeder is unlike the other breeder Swiss chocolate. So far what he did is only the breeding with between albino, anaconda, and authentic.
Okay. So he definitely needs to bring in a little bit more to try something out, or either sell some off for somebody else to put it to bigger collections to see how it works.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So this is very interesting, and this is another reason I think why the Western Hognose breeding community is so cool and so very exciting, because we're still able to find new things like this, right? The other most recent one was Swiss chocolate. So I think that's another reason why I personally like, and I think a lot of us do like Western Hognose too, where there's so much to be discovered still. Do would you if you got the chance to work with this, would you want to put into your collection?
Absolutely.
Sure.
我会很期待Antarctic lavender and Antarctic super Arctic.
Oh, that sounds good. Yeah.
And even Antarctic Swiss chocolate. Yeah. But I think 我有问徐佳佳，就是说他可能明年开始才会去贩卖去卖，就是 Antarctic。对，但他今年据我所知，他今年有卖1只母蛇在中国，只卖了1只而已。然后明年开始可能会有相对比较多一点的数量释出给大家。
好。 这个就是仅限于就是您问他卖的这个 Antarctic，他是不是会卖，是这个意思吧？就这个 morph 的话，它的好。So, according to his to his information, that this year, just so the breeder Jia only sold one female Antarctic to sold one, and then the breeder plans to launch the sale of Antarctic maybe next year.
Okay. Very interesting, yeah. And like many new projects, breeders first sell the females because females take a lot longer to grow up to be able to
Yes.
breed. So, if you get a male, you can put it to so many females and try to prove, make different combinations. It's smart of him. It's smart of the breeders that do it, to try to, keep the project within your collection and be able to prove out those world first combinations too. But it is it's also interesting that he's already letting some females go because as we've seen other morphs, it would be like somebody would be working with 5-6 years before they even let one animal go. You know.
Yeah, because he sold this female a very high price, and I think he just 他可能要麻烦你这里翻译，他可能就是开一个很贵的价钱，想说卖看看。那如果有人愿意买，他就卖；但如果就是大家觉得太贵了，那他就反正留着，因为他可能本来就也没有很想卖，他原本预计就是明年再开始卖这样子。那但是据我所知啊，我不是非常非常确定这件事。据我所知，在上个月的上海的爬松展览，就是它那一只其实就是卖出去，然后价钱非常高，但是我可能就不透露是多少钱，因为这个他不一定会想要让大家知道。
好，但是好。So he shared the breeder's mindset because he's not planning to sell any this year anyway. So he probably just he didn't want to disclose the price because he's not 100% sure about also this background. But doing a pet show in Shanghai last month, and then he sold one, but at an extremely high price.
Well, I can imagine, yeah. We have, somebody you mentioned Lavender Antarctic. He's talking about Conda also. It seems backstage we were talking. It seems like you really enjoyed the lavender gene. So it seems like that's the route you would take with Antarctic lavender and Swiss chocolate as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's a really good question, and we've seen it in different genetics like lavender, or when you start inbreeding albino too much. Has there been any health issues come up with it yet, or it seems like it's still okay?
有没有生理上异常？
哦，目前我看到都是就是经过我询问，然后我自己看到的，其实都非常健康，也没有任何基因上的缺陷。对，然后它其实应该去年繁殖了2胎，今年应该是数量就更多了，因为他发现的第一只 Antarctic 是公蛇，所以他可以在这2年可以去用这只公蛇去做更多的繁殖去验证。那其实目前为止都是很健康。
好。So what he visually, examined during the visit, and also what he discussed with the breeder, they no anomalies so far, and also he calculated so the first discovery of the Antarctic was a male. So last year he the breeder did 2 rounds of breeding, and then this year he did probably a lot more, and still no anomalies so far.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good. And it seems like since he has a small collection, I wonder how his approach to outcrossing the breeding is going to be, because of small collections. Previously when we had the lavender gene, we there was a lot of inbreeding, so we're still dealing with certain genetic issues with the lavender, like breeding lavender causes certain body deformation or just poor fertility. You know, I had this other picture that you shared, and let me see, give me 2 seconds, let me put it up. And I wanted to know if this was a Antarctic albino.
Yes，
This is okay.
对，它有繁殖了 albino conda Antarctic，然后也有 snow conda Antarctic。
That's interesting. And it's really interesting because like it separates the pattern, it washes out the color a little bit, and then also reduces the head pattern. Seems like this Antarctic gene can do a lot to the color, the pattern, just
Yes.
with one copy of the gene.
Especially it is a dominant gene.
Hmm.
Yeah, interesting.
I think a lot of people are definitely going to be looking forward to see what else comes out of that project.
Yeah,
And just like Swiss chocolate, you have Swiss chocolate in your collection, correct?
yes.
Yeah. How long
I
have
have
you
a
been working
project.
with?
不是很长。我的 Swiss Chocolate 是2022年的时候跟 Jules 购买的，所以其实比起一些美国或欧洲的繁殖者，我算是相对来说比较晚开始我的 Swiss Chocolate 的 project。那我主要的目前的方向是Exotic Conda Swiss Chocolate， 就是整只是颜色会全黑，然后表现上来说可以再把 Swiss Chocolate 的特色更极致的放大的这个路线。我可以把它拿过来展示。
我来翻译。So while he's fetching his Swiss chocolate, he said for Swiss chocolate collection, he's relatively lagging behind because he started it in 2022. So compared to the Western breeders, he started late, and then his breeding plan is aiming for a then thick Conda Swiss chocolate, and then he wants to achieve like a pure black, so a black pattern, and then he's fetching his Swiss chocolate right now.
Okay. Guys, while he's doing that, make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for enjoying this great conversation that we're having with Ethan.
This is Swiss Chocolate Conda Hit Exotic.
Swiss chocolate Conda Exotic. Very nice.
And this is RB Pastel Swiss Chocolate.
Okay. RBE Pastel Swiss chocolate. Okay, I didn't know that the RBE had gotten to the Swiss chocolate already because I'm a fan of RBE.
Yeah.
Ethan, when would you produce visual? How long would it take you to produce visual Swiss chocolate Xantics?
是说我繁殖多久吗？还是？
So can you explain? He said, "Do you mean how long he has bred, or
how long would it take you to breed for you to hatch?
How long does it to produce?"
Yeah, to produce a Xantic Swiss chocolate condas that he wants to do. Like, is it 3 years from now? 6 years from now?
OK，因为他们是2022年出生的，所以最快，我想以他们现在的体态，应该是明年不太可能繁殖，所以应该要到后年。 那尤其是因为 Jules 他在幼蛇，也就是他们刚出生的第一年就会对他们进行冬化，所以其实去年的冬天，他们有可能大概2到3个月是在冬化的状态，也并没有去做太长时间的进食跟成长。对，那当然我觉得这是好事情，就是用一个相对正常跟健康的成长的速度。对，然后我预计它可以在2020年投产。
Oh, huh. He's calculating because they are doing their first year, last end of last year, the winter time. They're doing 2-3 months of hibernation, so they were not eating much, which is a healthy, normal pattern. So he anticipates they will start to produce in 2025.
Okay. You know, and now this conversation leads exactly where we wanted to. You know, you're talking about hibernation, you know, brumation, which is called for reptiles. That's how we call it here in you know in English. You guys are still taking that process of hibernating the hognose. What temperatures and then how long do you brumate them for?
OK，主要是在台湾的环境跟在美国有一个很大的不同，是台湾的夏天会比美国热很多。那如果我们不去控制温度的话，在7月、8月，就是大概现在这个季节，其实室内温度是会超过30度、30、32度，就是摄氏的超过30度。那这样的温度，我自己觉得对助力蛇不是一个很好的温度，所以其实我觉得在台湾控制温度是相当重要的。那刚刚阿包我想要讲的是，就是 brumation 的事情，就是我会在冬天的11、12月开始，就分批的去 brumate 我的公蛇跟母蛇。那我是用红酒柜，温度是大约在12到14度摄氏。
请问您用的是什么手段？红转会是个灯吗？还是
红酒柜就是
wine
wine
红酒柜？好哦，这个
对
我知道了，我就没想到蛇会用那个酒的这个然后我没反应过来。
他们一定知道，他们一定知道。
对他们，对。那个，另外您补充到的台湾的情况的话，是7、8月份您还会额外加那个温度的控制，其实是降温是吗？
对，不过这不是他想要问的，只是我提到我主要是想提台湾的气候比美国来说炎热很多，所以温度控制在台湾相对来说是一个比较棘手一点的问题，对于助力蛇来说。
好的，好。就相当于您会做，至少说冬夏两季，您都要做一个在台湾要做一个温控嘛，对吧？才能让助力蛇啊。
夏天不能太热，冬天要用红酒柜去冬化。
好的。So for wintertime, for wintertime he will use the wine cabinet from November, December to keep the temperature at 12 to 14 degrees centigrade for the brumation. However, there's something extra in temperature control for the Taiwan breeders like him for the summertime for hognoses because it gets too hot indoors. So for July and August, he also limited temperature at about 30 degrees centigrade for the hognoses. I'm sorry. So he doesn't use the temperature regulation, it will get as hot as 30 degrees, which is not pleasant for the hognoses in summertime in Taiwan.
Okay, so yeah, I was doing the conversion. So about 12 degrees Celsius, about 50 degrees Fahrenheit. And then you were saying 30 Celsius is about 80, 85. I mean, about 85 degrees Fahrenheit. So okay, so very similar to what we do here in the 60, 29, okay, Celsius right now.
They're very hot.
Yeah. So it's very similar to what we do here in the US too with the wine coolers. It's interesting that how did you find out that the wine cooler was a good option to brewmate for you?
大概就是像阿巴罗你们现在在做的类似这样的 podcast 或是一些访谈。那我非常 respect，就是你们去做这一些跟一些知名的繁殖者去做这一些的访谈，然后可以分享很多的资讯给世界上其他的繁殖者去参考。对，那像例如说像Jeff from JNG Reptile，或者是像刚刚也有看到的那个 Leslie， 或者是很多网络上面很多知名的繁殖者，他们都会分享他们的东化跟繁殖的方式。再加上我自己可能饲养几年，我每一年都会做很详细的喂食、东化各种记录，去跟着我的经验，也因应台湾的气候去慢慢的做调整。因为我发现一件很有趣的事情，就是说，虽然这些美国知名的繁殖者会分享他们的饲养跟东化的过程，但其实它并不完全适用台湾的环境和气候。所以当我照着做的时候，我发现仍然会出现一些问题，所以我还是得逐步的去调整。
好，谢谢。So he found out these tips through the similar podcast, just like yours. So while these experienced breeders will share their experience and their tips, he also, and then once he learned from it, he will start to take these brumation journals and the breeding journals. And once he introduced these hognoses to Taiwan, and then he found it's interesting that it's almost like an acclimatize because these Western experiences may not be similar or exactly the same when adapted to the hognose adapted to the Taiwan market, the Taiwan environment. So he has to make adjustment along the way while jotting down the brumation journals and other breeding journals.
Yeah, and that's great to hear because wow,
我会记录所有的，
yeah,
就是我应该说my wife will record.
that's your wife does all the record keeping. That's good.
So it says the wifey keeps all the record. Yep.
That's good. And that's interesting because here in the U.S., it's such a large variety of different temperatures, climates, what's it called, elevations from the sea. That same thing. What can work for us down here in Florida, where it's basically tropical summer all year round, might not work for somebody that's all the way in the west, north part of the U.S., where it's a lot colder and doesn't get as hot as here. So it's very interesting, like that you do say that the animals do have to acclimate and you have to figure out certain changes for the environment in Taiwan. What is the general temperatures in Taiwan? Do you guys have different seasons?
是说我们平常季节的平均温度是大概是多少呢？
对，他想就是因为他们不了解台湾嘛，您能大概介绍一下台湾的，比如说是四季分明吗？还是说，你们台湾就是假定台湾不是四季分明的，那也许你们平均温度是怎么样啊
？OK，跟美国比起来，就是说台湾这个亚热带海岛的气候跟美国温带气候比起来，就是说相对来说潮湿很多，然后四季并不分明，就是比起说四季，我们可能更倾向说台湾要么夏季，要么冬季。就冬天来寒流来的时候，它也会变很冷，但是一到春天到夏天，它有时候很快就变得太热，所以对于就是温度控制来说，我觉得我们会相对欧美来说，我们会更早一点让朱比蛇进入化的程度，太晚冬化晚出来，台湾一下子会变太热，那温度太高，对于公蛇的精子的状态、繁殖的，还有母蛇它这个排卵跟发育的状态，温度太高对他们来说都会去降低他们的繁殖能力。所以我们通常不会把时间拖到就是例如像现在7月8月，我们拖到这个时间才让母蛇产卵。其实以台湾气候来说，其实有一点太晚、太热。
好。So Taiwan is a subtropical climate. It's a lot more humid than most of the Western world. And for seasons, we are not a 4-season country. I mean, a region. We are 2 seasons, just the summer and the winter, because we have extremely short spring and fall. for temperatures, because we're subtropical, so usually I will start regulate the temperature a lot sooner than the Western time frame, because I realize that for just we need to maintain a healthy lower temperature to keep our male snakes their sperms healthy, and also for the females to ovulate um, in a healthy style. So one example I noticed, I mean, I'm sorry, one example for adjustment I took is the for the ovulation, I will let my males to start a lot sooner rather than the traditional July, because the July in Taiwan is so much hotter.
Okay. So I think Taiwan, and at least where we're at in Miami, Florida, in southern Florida, is very similar because the same thing. We're 80, mid 80s to high to 90s, 8 months out of the year. We get
Oh,
maybe 1 week of 60, 50-degree weather only at night. So
对
very, very similar.
，yes，
And
and 我会发现就是说，在7月8月的时候，我想 Alvaro 应该也会遇到跟我一样的问题，就是说，在最炎热的季节，猪鼻蛇的环境，它的暖区跟冷区几乎会温度会差不多，就是说它会没有相对凉爽的地方给它去选择去待在那里。它即便待在没有加温的区域，也会在可能 maybe 摄氏29、30度，或甚至31度。那我觉得这个对他们，尤其母蛇，如果在这个时间点要排卵或生产，其实会很不好。
嗯，好。So he agrees that you two are probably you're in similar, likely to have the same dilemma in the summer, July and August, where for hognoses, where there's little difference between the regulated temperature zone, so the hot zone, and then the cold zone. For I'm gonna feel the same to the hognoses. So for our female hognoses, it will be difficult for them, that particular environment for them to ovulate, to hatch. It's challenging for our females.
yeah, yeah. Same thing. Most of the hognose breeders here in South Florida, either if it's in a inside part of the house, like a room in the house, or like an exterior building, everybody has to run air conditioner because inside, if you don't run air conditioner, like you'll probably get like 95 degrees inside a room. So as you know, that's too high for Western hognoses, and
Yeah.
especially for breeding. Yeah, we try to do I think very similar. October to the end of December brumation. So 2 months, basically like October 31st to January 1st brumation.
Yeah.
Same thing, down to 50 degrees. A lot of people use wine coolers. I use like a industrial refrigerator. So very similar stuff. So I think we definitely need to share some notes since we have very similar environment and temperatures.
Yeah, but I think we learn from you, from American information. So you
Yeah,
are our teacher.
but you know what? Sometimes learning new things from other people is important because maybe something you guys change something very different in Taiwan for maybe the temperature or let's say the way of keeping your animals, right? Let me ask you, what do you keep your what substrate do you use for your Western hognose?
JRS，我想一下英文
Sandy
是什么，
chips?
就是对
Okay, sandy chips. Yeah.
，yeah.
Aspen. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Aspen, yeah, Aspen.
Aspen. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Similar. Yeah. Aspen. Some people here use sandy chips like that, more coarse. I use more fine shaved aspen. And let me ask you. You were saying that you cool down your room currently where you're at. It's 80 something degrees, 85, 86 degrees right now. Do you provide heat for your hognose, or is just the temperature around you?
Yes，应该是这样讲，就是说可能要再麻烦帮我解释清楚一下，就是说我在夏天的时候，我会去注意不要让整个室温太高，但是其实我不会太常开冷气，或甚至是我现在其实几乎很少开冷气，因为我认为一天中的温度的那个日夜温度循环对助力者来说也很重要。因为我曾经，我之前有2年的时间，我是不管冬夏，我都整间繁殖室都开冷气去维持恒温，就是冬天让它冷，然后夏天如果太热，我就是也是开一个冷气降温，让它维持在maybe27、28度这样。但是我后来发现，如果没有一个早晚的温度的这个差距去循环，它们在繁殖能力上跟健康也会有所下降。所以我后来会去尽量的减少开冷气，去让整间房间维持一个恒定的。
好，这个是你就说您是说到的是冷气，他刚刚然后正好那您先我先翻译，然后您正好考虑一下，他刚刚有问，我不知道他是不是指暖气的意思，或者说养猪鼻蛇是不是因为在台湾可能不存在很冷的情况，需要打暖气？
有的，台湾在冬天如果寒流来，有可能会到摄氏10度，就是在很冷的时候也会冷到，就是会需要去控制温度。那他刚刚Alvaro讲的应该是加温垫，就是说我们会在饲养盒的1/3，就是1块的地方，去用一个加温垫，给它一个特别温暖的地方，让它去待。那我是有使用加温垫，而且我1年4季都开着。我会让它在365天每一天的时候都有一个大概32度摄氏的地方，可以让它选择它要不要去那边去待在暖区这样。
好，谢谢。So he added one note before you mentioned this heat. For the AC, because you shared you turn on your AC in the summertime in southern Florida, but he found for 2 years, the very first 2 years, he turned on AC all the time in the summertime, especially in the summertime for his hognoses. He found they are not that productive compared to then he noticed maybe this temperature drop from day and night, this whole cycle through the day and night is important to these hognoses. So he now rarely turn the AC on all day long. He may turn the AC on occasionally, but in just for the ambient AC, he doesn't turn it on 24/7 in the summertime. So just to let the snakes feel these, the day and night, this change, the temperature drop. As for your question about the heat, so are you asking about these heating mats near the substrate? Yeah. So for that, he actually leave those on 24/7.
Okay. And what's the hot spot he sets the heat mats to? The temperature.
大概
sorry?
华氏90左右。
So 90 degrees Fahrenheit.
90 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. Very similar. Very similar. Okay. So that's interesting because a lot of people I've heard that same thing as you're saying, the ambient temperature during the day, if you can keep it, like you said, 85, 86 degrees, without, without the air conditioner, the hognose definitely like it a lot better and produce more. Personally here, so I do have my AC because this is a room in my house, and I do have the AC, but I shut off the how much airflow can come into this room, so my room stays about 80 degrees, and I have a hot spot about 86 degrees on the heat map. And then at night it drops.
他就是分享一下，这个不是问题，就是他分享一下他的做法，就是他在南佛州嘛，跟您的气温差不多。他说，虽然他那个房间空调常开，但他会把风量嘛，因为空调是可以调风量的。他要么就是把风门关掉，要么就是把风量调小，那这样就确保说房间里面没有这么大的风量。然后同时的话，他那个热电 加热电跟您的做法也是一样的，它调的差不多85度这样子，说华氏。
OK，哦，那可能没有到我这么高，可能再低一点点。
嗯，
那可能主要我再稍微解释一下，就是说我刚刚有提到说夏天在台湾夏天的温度太高，我一直长时间维持一个可能在摄氏30度以上的高温，对母蛇的繁殖并不是那么的有利。那其实我觉得相对来说更重要，因为这个温度对母蛇来说，它仍然是可以正常的产卵、排卵繁殖，但其实持续的高温，我认为最不利的其实是对公蛇，就是如果公蛇长时间处于一个30度以上，它也没有冷区跟暖区可以选的话，我觉得对它的精子的健康状况跟繁殖能力是有所减损的。所以我会希望公蛇可以待在可能摄氏28、29度这样的温度。那我的公蛇跟我的母蛇，我是不同的2个 room 在饲养。我现在这一间都是母蛇，公蛇会在一个更凉爽一点的 room。
您刚刚说到说对公蛇的话，我没有记下那个温度，说更理想的温度不是30度是多少度？是多少度？
28、29。
所以您是分区饲养是吗？
对，我的公蛇待的房间跟母蛇的房间是不同的。
好。So one more note from him, just from the Taiwan, their climate, because for the summertime, he thinks the summer in Taiwan, like you have the same similar Florida weather, that heat is not killing the female. It may not be pleasant to the females. However, for the males, he suspects that high temperature around 30 degrees, which you calculated about 80 over to 80 Fahrenheit, if it's going to be a lasting temperature for the males, he believes that will affect their reproductivity and also their overall health. So he actually divide his males and the females in separate zone or rooms, actually rooms, so they're enjoying different temperatures. So the males won't be suffering from the 30 degrees centigrade all the time in the summertime.
I agree with him. That's very true. Yeah. I think definitely keeping the males at low temperature is better fertility for them. 100%. You know, and then so let me ask: is the where you have your hognose is a separate facility or is this part of your home that you do it out of?
哦，是问我说我是在家里还是在外面？就是养。
对
，OK，我在开头的前几年，我是养在我的公司，就是在外面。但是后来觉得，就是因为我太太花很多时间照料他们，然后要观察他们，要记录他们。我觉得记录跟细节的观察，包含他们的粪便啊，然后他们的习性、他们的动作，各种细节，就是随时可以看到跟记录是很重要的。所以后来呢，就还是搬回家里面。那同时也因为数量的增加，所以我们后来也调整了空间的使用，就是从我公司把动物都移到家里面这样子。
也就是说，您现在都是在家里面养是吗？
对，但这是目前啦，因为我有在规划，就是接下来还是要再移到外面，因为家里的空间毕竟不想要跟住的地方还是这么紧密，就是有分开还是好一点。
谢谢。So, in the beginning of this Hognose journey, he did keep them in his company, and gradually, with more of the Hognoses, and also especially the wife undertaking all the care and the maintenance, um, not only it's easier to move back to home, but also he found it's important for them to catch real time observations and keeping a full um, record their behaviors, and also examines, for example, their fishes. So they move all the snakes back at their home. So it's a home facility. However, he is seeing, with the expansion of his hognose career, maybe along the way with this quantity, he may consider another, option.
Okay. Yeah. And I see that because I feel like um, being a part of being able to capture every moment of the hognose breeding and being able to be there at any just being able to go into your room and not have to drive anywhere to check on them is important. I don't know if I would how it would be if in the middle of females laying eggs and having to wait, or drive somewhere all the way to check if there was eggs.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they will eat their egg. Every year I lost many eggs，就是我不知道怎么表达，反正就是说我每一年都会有很多蛋被母蛇吃掉，所以最好是你可以很快的去知道它们产卵的状况。
这个可以问一下他们，也许他们西方的更有经验的是说怎么来辨别出来，对吧
我想应该
he
是跟我
shared
一样。
So his pain point is the biggest pain point is obviously that the female snakes ate so many of their eggs that they had. Not hatched. They laid. So that's his pain point. So he said maybe you guys have any suggestions? How do you protect that?
It's same. I think the biggest thing was feeding them as much as food as they would take close to laying time, um, and then being there. That's I think the only part of it. I know I have one or two females that love to eat all the time, and those females when they were laying, I made sure I was home all day, check and make sure that they didn't eat the egg.
Yeah. 尤其是例如说晚上你要睡觉，就是before you sleep and the female starts laying their eggs. So you have to set a clock, maybe 4 hours or 3 hours. You have to wake up and check.
Yeah. I think it's with Western hognose. I think there's no way to get around it. It's gonna happen. We try to prevent it by looking at it. I know Jeff, when he has those females, he'll pull the eggs as she's laying them to make sure that she doesn't lay. Yeah, and we'll set it up, and then as she goes. One thing that he mentioned also too was once they're disturbed, like if they're laying and you open up their enclosure and look in, sometimes they feel threatened and they think that maybe it's another animal or something that's going to eat the egg. So maybe they decide to eat it before the predator can eat it.
Yes. 我发现就是我自己感觉有一个有趣的现象，就是也是我太太观察到，就是说，如果提供给他们的产房，因为我自己是用野土，就是野鲜土作为他们生产的底材，那这个野土的厚度如果足够厚，让他们可以把蛋产在这个土的比较深的地方，那他们或许比较不会那么容易的去找到他们自己的蛋，然后把它吃掉，因为他们通常都是产完卵。他们觉得说 ，OK， 我生完蛋了，那我要出去找东西吃了。他们会离开他们的产房，然后出去逛一逛，然后逛一逛之后呢，又回到这个产房，说，我现在有点饿，我要找东西吃，然后就开始挖这个土，然后挖到了自己的蛋，他可能不知道那是自己的蛋，他想说，我找到了一些蜥蜴蛋或乌龟蛋可以来吃，他就把它吃掉。所以如果你产房给它大一点，然后土给它厚一点，让它可以把蛋更好的生产在一些比较安全或比较深的地方，可以比较高的几率去避免说蛋被自己的种母吃掉。
谢谢。他刚刚分享了他的经验，您有听到吗？就是他是说他觉得他们就是他说 Jeff 有分享说，如果说就是另外那位繁殖师，他觉得好像蛇在下蛋的时候，如果你有打开或者惊扰到它，他会觉得说，有侵略者要吃我的蛋，所以我不如自己把蛋给就是吃了或者毁了，我也不给他们别的侵略者吃掉，就不要搅扰它。
我有看过，对，我知道，我有看过 Jeff 在聊这件事情。
行好，然后您说那个产房大一点，就是蛇自己产的那个区域，给它大一点的空间，是这个意思吧？
对，然后里面的野土就是土放的厚一点，让它可以更多的空间去产它的蛋。
好，谢谢 Eden. So Eden's wife has made some observation, and so he's sharing their tips. Is they found that it seemed like with Hognose, the breeding area, if it's more spacious, and also the so Alvaro, you call these aspen, right? These chips, if that you lay
No
thicker, 啊，不是
不是
是吗？
aspen 是
啊。So what are the special material, the substrate you lay for
Coco
them
core.
to breed?
yeah 对
I'm sorry, what's that? Copper? Copper?
Coco core.
Cocoa core. Okay. So
椰子
so that's particular for hatching.
Mhm.
Yes.
So the wife found you if you lay a lot thicker, and so make so that snake get a chance to bury these eggs pretty well. So when they after they finish laying all the eggs, and then they return for food, they're not they're not that easy to confuse with their own eggs than other feed.
Okay, very interesting. Yeah, I think that's a good tip. To be able to for them to be able to bury it. I think that's really good. Thank you. Good observation on that. Um, so my so I see that you do the lay bin with coco core inside their enclosure, their bigger bins, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you leave those bins all year round, or do you remove it after they're finished laying?
Move out
Move out.
after
Okay.
they lay.
Okay. Yeah. So, myself and especially Aslan, we found out that if you leave them, we leave them all year round. They love to be in there, even off
Oh,
of breeding season.
okay.
And I found a lot of my hognose females when I go look for them, they're inside that bin just digging
Yeah.
because
And
I mean they love to dig. Yeah.
they want find some egg to eat.
Yeah, probably. So, we're talking about like how we keep in the hog nose. Are you feeding them mice, rats? What are you feeding them?
如果是成年的母蛇的话，我会喂食呃大约25克左右的小白鼠，就是 mice。然后如果是
25，
对对对，就大概在就是亚成到成年这个阶段的小白鼠，不会喂到那种30几克的最大只。然后如果是请说。
就是for adult female, so Hognose he will feed a mice, so the mice of about 25 gram up to 30 gram.
Okay.
不会到30多这么大，就是大概都20几克。
就只喂20几克啊，行。So I'm sorry. So now so the mice he selects won't be as more than 30 grams. So it will always be around 20 some grams.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I say about same thing. Medium mice, about 18 to 25 grams, something like that for us.
Yes.
Feeding our adult females. Yeah.
那
Is there companies that produce mice, or do you guys have to breed them your own?
这边台湾当地是有不少鼠场，就是繁殖小白鼠的鼠场。那在台湾要买到冷冻的饵料鼠，其实是相对来说是很直接、很方便、很简单的事情。然后我观察过，就是相对美国来说也便宜很多。但因为这几年饲养爬虫的这个 hobby 越来越兴盛，发展越来越好，所以过去2年都会有在产季，就是夏季繁殖季的时候，小白鼠缺货的情况，就是你会买不到，或者是你订了一个数量，但是鼠场跟你说可能要等1个月、2个月才有办法给
你。您刚刚有提到冻鼠，还是说这是新鲜鼠？
冻鼠
是
都是
活冻鼠哈。然后的话，您说因为这个就是现在可能养殖业的就是开始繁荣了，说过去2年每年夏季的可能这个繁殖老鼠的不是，就是老鼠的繁殖期还是蛇的繁殖期？就是您说会有缺货，可能容易有缺货。
在蛇的繁殖季的时候，老鼠会缺货。
哦，好。So so that's two information. One is although there are on the good side, there are many established commercial mice breeders nearby in the region, so it's easier to assess these frozen mice. And however, he does notice because this overall the reptile pet industry, in the past 2 years in the summertime during the breeding season, they tend to be these mice. The feed tend to be out of stock.
Yeah. Same exact thing for us. Um, yeah. Especially there's one company here in Florida that produces mice that we like to. They produce good quality. But in the summer, it gets so hot that it's hard to maintain the production, especially even of the smaller size mice.
Yes.
Yeah. So what is how do you go about with that? Do you have a little bit of mice that you're producing yourself, or do you have to buy it from multiple sources to try to complete your orders?
OK，我自己有养一点点的小白鼠，那主要是因为针对一些刚孵化的幼蛇，猪鼻幼蛇，它们有的幼蛇它们会不愿意吃冷冻鼠，所以会需要偶尔会需要一些活的小白鼠的乳鼠，就是刚出生的，去促使它们开口愿意吃饭。那除了这种的需求以外，我都还是会跟鼠场去订购冷冻鼠，去做主要的饵料来源。那因为我们一次比较大量，所以有固定配合的鼠场，他们可能也大概知道我们的需求，所以还比较不会出现买不到冷冻鼠的状
况。好，然后我先翻译一下，麻烦伊登看一下那个屏幕上有提到给您的问题，关于这个老鼠的，您能看得见吗？
有。
So I'll translate a while, and so Exotic Firehogs asked a question about this mice facility. So he shared his experiences for himself. He breeds a small amount of mice himself, but mainly for the purpose for his newborn hognoses, because he found his newborn hognoses usually are reluctant to eat the frozen mice, or they will be hard to handle their first meal with the frozen mice. So he used his own bread, his own fresh alive mice to feed these newborns. And then for his regular mice feed, he has a few established vendor, these mice breeding facilities. So he gets very stable shift, and they do not tend to go run out of inventories.
Okay. And I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with Taiwan. Are you able to go pick them up, or you have to? Does it have to be shipped to you?
他们会寄过来，就是我们有那个冷冻的货运，然后在台湾的整个台湾的区域他们都可以在大概一天左右的时间就到达，然后也都保持温度跟冷冻。
就是相当于冷链运输的话，我在台湾整个区域，一天，也就是您今天下单，明天就能送达，是吗？
对于运输来说是，只要鼠场有货，可以一天就送。
好。So for the whole Taiwan region, these facilities cover the delivery within 24 hours, and then they will ship through these coolers, so these cooler supply chains. As long as they have inventory, they will receive the order in the next day.
Okay. Yeah, it's very very similar to us too. 1 or 2 days usually we receive orders. We do have. I personally we have some local breeders that we pick certain amounts, just like probably similar to you, that we can go and pick up. Because same situation. In the summer, it's hard to upkeep the quantity of mice that there's out there. Have you tried to feed anything other than mice, maybe like frog, eggs, or any of that stuff? Have you experimented with that?
Yes. 对于稳定成长的猪鼻蛇，我们这边主要都是还是喂食小白鼠。 那对于幼蛇，就是不开口的、不愿意开口好好吃饭的幼蛇，我们会准备蟾蜍，小只的蟾蜍，然后生的鲑鱼，然后还有壁虎的尾巴，去使用这一些东西的气味，去沾冷冻的乳鼠，去诱导这些幼蛇来开口。那偶尔也会喂食成年的乳蛇一些类似像牛蛙，就田鸡的鸡腿，去增加一些食物的丰富性，但是很少，主要都是用小白鼠。
啊，那个幼蛇的第一个听到的是蟾蜍，第二个没有听到。
蟾蜍跟鲑鱼 salmon，
哦，是 salmon，好的。
salmon 三
然后
文鱼，
您说的是壁虎，第三个是壁虎的尾巴吗？就是说趣味性上，还是说是个壁虎？
不会喂它壁虎，会沾那个味道，让他们去，因为他们喜欢那个味道，所以用冷冻的乳鼠去沾那个味道，去诱导他们。刚
用
刚
冷冻的
上述讲，
老鼠，冷
对，
冻的
用冷
老
冻的老鼠，
鼠去沾，嗯，
因为刚刚上述讲的那三样东西都不是为了要直接喂它们吃，而是用冷冻的老鼠去沾它们的味道，然后可以去诱导幼蛇去开口吃冷冻乳鼠。
冷冻的老鼠去沾什么东西的味道？
蟾蜍，然后toad salmon，然后还有
哦，
壁虎，对对
好的，好的，就是其实是不喂这些东西，但是是用冷冻的老鼠去沾这些，比如蟾蜍身上的味道。
对对对，
啊，好，谢谢您。哎，
没问题，谢谢。
so for 没有这个您很精细的这个喂养，不然我肯定都理解错了。So for adult female, occasionally he would use frog legs, but that's very occasional to give them to offer them some just extended nutrition. For babies and for also for infants, they are struggling to they're learning. I guess he would still using the frozen mice, but to contact with frog and salmon, and then the lizard flavor because they like these flavor or scent, but it's still going to be a frozen mice.
Okay, yeah, very similar, same thing. This year, I I haven't had any success with live mice for like the babies that are hard or aren't eating very well. But I did have very good success with salmon juice, so like canned salmon, the water from the canned salmon, and then
哦
local toads from local area, just mashed up in water, and same thing with the pinky dip the pinky in the waters in the sense.
哦I have a interesting stuff share with you. 可以帮我拿那个
What's going on? Say hi to a couple people that didn't get shout out. Sex and Flex and Reptile podcast. Make sure you guys go over there and subscribe to their channel as well. Chris, thanks for stopping by. Pressure Pythons, Justin, what's up? V Unit supporters here. Enchanted Hogs, hogging out. Joe, what's going on? Jeff, we need to make sure your phone is charged so we can get that info about the females eating their eggs.
这个是我们会使用蟾蜍，就是不是 frog， 应该是 toad， 因为 frog 的作用很小，一定要用 toad 比较好。然后我们会用不织布，就是一种在药局买得到的布材，然后我们会把它浸泡这个 toad， 就是冷冻的蟾蜍的这个气味跟汁液，然后再烘干。那这一块布它上面就会有很强烈的蟾蜍的气味，那方便我们就是说，如果要把蛇交给别人卖给别人的时候，如果到了人家家里面，这些幼蛇他们不愿意吃饭或还是需要这个东西的时候，这个很好保存，可以在室温、常温、干燥的环境下保存，我们就可以直接寄1包或2包这个东西给他，他到时候就用冷冻水去沾这个，加一点点水沾这个东西，这些幼蛇就会愿意开口吃饭，不需要去准备活的或是冷冻的蟾蜍。
So their experience this so this gauze pad look like they can soak the with the along with the frozen toad to get the sand. So they usually prepare one or two of these the pads ship with along during a sale to a new customer. So in case when the new customer receive their baby reptile and they refuse to eat, they said this works pretty well.
Okay, that's very
And then
interesting. Because I received a package that somebody here in the U.S. I'm gonna shout her out. It's Show Me Kitty, Susan, and Dustin. They're doing a similar what's it called setup like that. I'm gonna show you real quick as well. Yeah, same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
This is very convenient.
It is. It is. Now I've been working on it. Sometimes it works, but maybe for a customer is great because you could, like you said, you could send it out to a customer without having to be like actual piece of toad or them to go find the toad or frog. How are your customers seeing that's a successful way of scenting?
我刚刚没有听清楚，请问是？
哦，他是说您因为发过去的话，其实您是自己就是在家里制备这个棉，就叫它棉片吧，这样浸泡的。然后您发给客户的其实只是这样一个已经准备好的一个棉片就可以用的。那客户是觉得这样的这种他们把它称为闻香嘛，或者让那个开口闻这个闻味的这样一种方式是消费者就是问您的买家是觉得这个是管用的，是吧？
大部分的时候都对于那一些纯粹不想要吃冷冻鼠的猪鼻幼蛇来说都非常管用，因为在他们的原生地，这个蟾蜍的气味就是他们最爱的食物跟气味。对，但是有一些情况是这一些顾客他们准备的饲养的环境并不是那么的理想，例如说把他们养在太嘈杂的地方，或者是太开放太大的环境，那这些助力者他们可能会幼蛇可能会因为对环境的紧迫紧张，导致他们不愿意去进食，这时候就不是气味的问题，是要改变环境。
好。So, on one hand, he said if when his clients receive this their babies and then the babies are refuses to eat it simply due to scenting, then this always work. This is always effective. The clients find they're very effective because in their native places where babies were hatched, this is the toad. The frozen toad is their favorite scent, so this will work. However, on the other hand, there's another scenario. If the clients set up their tub home, not ideally, say, set up in a very noisy environment, and it makes them nervous, and so then the scenting won't be effective.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. I think that's one of the first questions any hognose breeder should ask a client is what is the setup or what's the environment around the baby? And a lot of the times it's a small adjustment, either temperature, size of enclosure, or in the area that the baby is set up. Yeah.
我看到那个 Jeff 有讲到，他说避免蛋被吃掉的，他有在留言那边分享。我也很想就是分享一个事情，就是说，因为我看到 Jeff 他说，记录他们的脱皮的时间，然后他们大概会在几天的，你可以预期他们在几天之后产卵，8小时要等下产卵的状况。其实说白了就是要一直去注意他们什么时候产卵，要一直去即刻的把蛋给收集起来。那他有说在美国大部分都是7到11天，就是脱皮后7到11天产卵。但其实，在台湾因为气候比较炎热，我想应该跟佛罗里达、跟 Alvaro 的环境差不多。我们有一些甚至5天或6天就会生蛋，然后也确实都在凌晨或者是早上，大部分的时候都在凌晨或早上，这些女生会产卵。
好。So Eden saw what Jeff shared about the observation of the hatching and then protecting the eggs, and then 7 to 11 days after shedding. So the he wants to share his so the Taiwan's the breeding notice they found maybe it's true with the UL Vera in Florida, because in Taiwan climate is much warmer. It usually takes 5 to 6 days after the shedding they will start hatch the eggs. And also time wise, it is true, it's a similar usually they hatch during not hatch, I'm sorry, they lay the eggs at the early hours, the wee hours, or in the AM morning time.
Yes. And I recorded this year my pre-lay sheds to days of hatching were between 5 and 8 days. Most of my females. So that's very interesting that he says that. Like I said, we definitely need to share more notes because I think we're very similar environments and a lot of similarities with how we're going to keep them and maybe make adjustments to them.
This is my okay. Okay, this is a pre-lay shed date, and this is laying day. So as you can see, most of them are 6 day or 7 day or 5 day.
Yep. Yeah. Very similar.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah, because I had 5. I think 8 days was most after pre-lay shed that I had females. Most of them were like 5, 6 days. Yeah. Very interesting. So now we're talking about eggs. First of all, before we move on to the eggs and incubation, is there a specific type of species of toad that you use to scent the mice?
蟾蜍有特别的一个品种吗？癞蛤蟆或者蟾蜍，您说他注意到有特别的品种吗？
台湾只有2种蟾蜍，一种叫做黑框蟾蜍，另外一种叫盘古蟾蜍。这个可能不知道你要怎么翻，但你就是反正就是有2种，有2个品种的蟾蜍。那在我的尝试，这2种台湾的蟾蜍的效果都是很好的。那特别要注意的就是，有的人会用角蛙，会用一些蛙类，其实蛙类的效果并不是很明显，还是必须要用蟾蜍才会比较
好。好，那我就先说台湾有2种，但是您觉得效果都是测试效果都是一样的，对吧？就是都是好的蟾蜍，就好。
是。
So in Taiwan, what he found, there are 2 main species of the toads, and both works equally effective in scenting. What we need to avoid is not using the frogs.
Yeah. I agree. There's certain tree frogs that I luckily got that advice, be from somebody else that has maybe used them or has had somebody use them, and certain frogs will kill your hognose. Yeah, or get them very sick.
蟾蜍对。
不是，他说就是树蛙嘛。
对，对，
不是，他是树，对，他说的是树蛙，就是树蛙就可能会有，就是因为他们在热带嘛，他说还好说他没有用，因为他说有些树蛙也许就是不是会让会杀死这些就是猪鼻蛇，但是因为树蛙可能是会有毒性，或者让蛇不舒服啊、过敏啊。
Was there did he have a response or?
刚断掉了一下，现在 OK。
Yeah, we were he said he was disconnected.
Okay.
So he heard what you shared about the tree frogs, and then some maybe subspecies can even kill the hognoses.
Okay. Yeah, and back to the lay dates. Jeff said that his room was a little warmer this year, and he definitely had sooner lays than the 7 to 11 days.
对，这个也是我在这边饲养，我一直在对抗的一件事情，就是虽然没有明确的去研究跟实验，但是我始终认为 5到6天这一个时间是违反他们的繁殖习性，也就是像我前面说的，就是台湾的繁殖季对朱比斯来说，其实还是温度太高了。我觉得7到10天可能还是比较理想的一个周期。
那您担心的是说它繁殖以后的孵化率、存活率，还是说担心什么呢？
是的，是的，对，就是他们的排卵的健康程度，这一些卵的受精的状况，还有这些卵会不会因为温度比较高，它们发育的就不好？
好的。So he said he just has the suspicion it's never been verified. He still believes the Taiwan climate is just the warmer climate and shorten the lay dates for of only 5 to 6 days as opposed to 7 to 10 days. He believes it affects it's not fertility but the egg fertility, or again he said it's not being proved, but he just suspects that um the health yes, the fertility of the eggs, and then the overall laying, the health of the
Mhm.
female. So he still wants to achieve the normal, so 7 to 10 days, that period, the egg laying days.
Okay. Yeah. We'll definitely, yeah, maybe where we're talking about like higher temps. Jeff said that higher temp maybe metabolizes the eggs quicker because he has ambient temperature, and then you also have heat mats up to 90 degrees, maybe bringing down your heat mats down to 85, 86 temperature hotspot.
他说张 Jeff 也提到您，因为您热电是天天用的嘛，您现在设的是90度，那他说可否降到，比如说降到85度左右，这样的话，就是最热的那个区域降到85华氏度，就是这些也是把温度
是
降了一些。
对，但其实这样的意思其实就是这个加热垫会一直都不会打开，因为加热垫的温度等于就是设定的跟我室温是差不多的。那加温垫它就会觉得说，哎，温度已经足够高了，它的这个控制它就不会启动，等于是我等于是完全用室温，也就是大约摄氏30度左右在饲养这个猪。
相当于说，您认为台湾的夏天室内温度不用，就是说也会达到那么高的温度，对吧？所以说，如果您把您的加热垫打，好。So he explains because the ambient temperature in summertime in Taiwan gonna be 85 degrees or so without the
Mhm.
AC. So if he set the heat mat at a lower temperature, say from 90 to 85 or lower, then the heat mat will never be turned on. At least the hot
Yeah.
zone.
Well, there is some people in Florida that keep an ambient temperature. They're able to keep a room ambient temperature at 85, 86 degrees and don't use heat mats and have good production of eggs and fertility.
他说他分享的说，佛州的话，他的确有一些那个繁殖师，他因为夏天他们就是环境温度保持在85、86华氏，那他就不用热电了。所以然后他们这样一个尝试做法呢，是至少说在繁殖上面就是效果也不错。
对，不过这个就又回到我之前讲的，我不喜欢整间房间24小时维持恒温，我想要他们有温度的循环，早晚有温差，因为我发现这样对繁殖是有提升繁殖的结果，所以我一直还在挣扎这件事。对，不过我们就讲回去原本的事，对，简短。
那您就是说，就是您宁可是说用一个 AC， 然后把这不是台湾早晚的温度会自己降下来，是这样吧？就如果
对，我
打
目前的
AC
做法是我宁可它白天的时候稍微有点热，我也不想要24小时都开冷气，让他们感受好。
好。So he revisited his early on his viewpoint about it seems to him the morning and the day and night the temperature difference makes a difference. It makes an impact actually on the fertility of his hognoses. So that's why he's still, because if if it were in the summertime, he rely on just the ambient temperature, and then the snakes are getting the same temperature all day long.
Okay, I get it now. So he uses the heat temp to higher heat during the day, and then at night, lower. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. We had a question from one of the viewers. Um, Here, we use and at least I do, and I know some people use calcium supplements and multi supplements for the reptiles, also probiotics. Do you guys use something similar? And if you do you use it all year round or only for breeding? Okay, Reptile.
Yeah. So I think the same with you guys.
Yeah,
Calciums
yeah.
and vitamin.
Mhm. Do you use it all year round or only a specific time of the year?
整年都会喂，然后每一次喂的时候都沾一点点。
每次喂的时候都沾一点点，就等于每天都用这些东西，
每一
是吗？
次喂食都会沾，但是都只沾一点点。
好好。All year around, and every feed, they will just use a trace of it.
Mhm. Yeah, very similar, at least to mine. Some people do every other one feeding yes, one feeding no, and switch it like that. I do it every feeding, so very similar. And I personally like the ZooMed, um, what's it called, ZooMed brand of it.
Yes. 但我觉得一件比较有趣的事，可能可以跟阿巴我们聊，就是说关于医疗的部分，因为我知道在爬虫的医疗在美国已经是相对来说非常不方便而且昂贵的。那我也很好奇，就是说一般在美国的繁殖者是怎么处理相关的问题？因为在台湾的话，除了费用比较便宜以外，我们也很方便，就是说光是在我居住的这个地区就有2-3家可以治疗爬虫的诊所。
您是指医疗是指兽医，就是能给蛇看蛇治疗的医师是吗？医疗
是。
好。而且您说的，光您住的区域附近就有2-3家，而且费用也是相对于美国的高昂，您这边也是可以接受的一个费用是吗？
我想我们这边应该是便宜，比美国便宜蛮多的，然后大概都是开车20-30分钟就可以到。
好的。So asking question about the vets. So he's sharing for Taiwan these hognoses when they get this, so basically medical care. Within 20 to 30 minutes driving range, he said he has 2 to 3 vets can treat his hognoses, and then he assumes the cost will be cheaper than USA. So can you introduce about, so in USA, how's our hognoses, the medical care overall? Say, is it accessible? Is it affordable?
So I'm tell you my experience. I found a exotic animal veterinarian, and I found them through it's like the National Reptile Association for Veterinarians. I went on the website and found them. So I got lucky. It's like 15 minutes away from my house, and it was pretty inexpensive for myself. But I also have heard the other side where some people have to drive 1 to 2 hours to get access to an exotic vet, and it's very expensive. Sometimes maybe $200 or more just to see the animal, and then even if they see the animal, sometimes because we work with these animals every day and see all the processes, know more about this animal than the veterinarians do.
你需要翻译吗？
好啊，我有一些细节没有很清楚。
好，然后正好你也考虑一下，因为我看时间已经超时挺久了。如果您还有问题，就是比如或者说有兴趣要交流的，您也可以正好想一下。他说他比较幸运嘛，因为他自己就找到了，他是直接上那个就是相当于 热带动物的那个兽医的一个官网去查的，然后找到了15分钟，开车15分钟，然后价钱又很便宜，所以他说他是幸运的，因为他听到过有别人跟他说猪鼻蛇，他们开车1-2个小时才找到兽医，而且那个这些就是所谓能诊断热带动物的兽医不但很贵，而且知道的还没有他们自己，因为您这些就是专业的繁殖或者说养殖师肯定就是都比找到的兽医要知道的多，就是他的确2种都有听到过。
是的，那我刚好分享一下我这边方式，因为确实我们虽然找兽医方便，但其实我觉得对于我们自己繁殖，尤其数量还稍微多一点的时候，其实自己一定还是要具备一定程度的医疗知识跟处理方式。像我们这边我自己的话，我是参照一本书，我是拿一下比较多。
So he also believes as breeders that we shall accumulate our own, just educate ourselves with these, equip ourselves with this medical knowledge about hognosis. So he's getting a book that he used as his guidebook about hognosis.
Reptile medicine and surgery.
Yeah, I think every snake breeder should know this matter. Yeah.
Okay. Douglas R. Mater.
This book is helped me very a lot about 医疗
medical, yeah, about medical treatment or medical knowledge.
That's very interesting. Thank you for sharing. I'm gonna for sure look up it. Is there any? Do you know if there's any books being published by Asian veterinarians or reptile experts? That Douglas is probably a U.S. or European based person, right?
有知道亚洲有出版的，比如说中文版的一些关于爬虫类的书籍，或者说关于猪鼻，现在猪鼻蛇就可能更细小的一个话题有吗
？OK，其实是有的，但是介绍的都是比较简单跟比较浅的一些基本式的。那大部分就像我刚刚讲的这一本关于医疗的专书，它其实也是一本很有名的爬虫的关于医疗的原文书，然后这边在中文翻译成中文的版本。
He said, although in Asia there are other reptile topic books in their native language, but he found that they're very general and shallow. So he still relies on the Western published.
Good, nice to see. Another question that somebody had earlier was reptile expos. Are there many in Taiwan? Is it really rare, or do you have to like travel out to do expos? I was looking through your Instagram and saw that you have posted a picture of I guess you guys set up in an expo.
Yes，在台湾过去一直以来比较著名的是昆虫展，每一年都会有大型的昆虫展在春季的时候举办，那也非常非常的兴盛，人潮也非常多，都是那种排队要排很久才有办法进场。那很开心的是，最近这2-3年，特别关于爬虫的 reptile 的 reptile show，已经越来越多，就是一年也会有2到3场是专门 reptile 的 show， 然后也不断的在成长，然后参与的人也越来越多。
So Taiwan actually started with the famous insect expo, and it was a very popular, highly sought after annual exposition. But it's about insects, very long lines. And he was very delighted to see the growth of reptile, recreational industry, because the reptile expo, he said now it grew to about 2 to 3 expos shows per year, and then it's growing in the number of just the expositions, but also in growing in terms of the visitors. So he's happy to see the growth.
That's cool. I like that. I think might have to do a Taiwan trip to go to a reptile show. I think here in the U.S. we have maybe like about 10 really big reptile shows throughout the year that happen every year. So we're pretty
Yes.
lucky if you can travel for it.
Yeah, very 我也很期待，应该说，我一直很向往有机会可以去美国参加，就是真正，因为我看就是 Alvaro 这一次也有参加2、3天前的 Reptile Show，然后就是那个规模，然后跟物种的丰富，尤其是 Hognose Snake 的 breeder，就是有名的大的 breeder 都在美国的这个秀展出，所以我觉得对于台湾的或甚至亚洲的繁殖者能够去参观一次、去参加一次，都是很向往、期待的事情。
Yes. So he followed your your activities about attending these shows. So he is very impressed with the scales and also how many distinguished breeders attending for the hognoses, breeders. So this will be they're on their not just on their to-do list, but they're highly anticipated an event to visit from Taiwan and then from Asia to go to the US on these reptile expos.
That would be very cool to meet up and for sure have you guys come over and experience the reptile shows with us. And I want to do the same and be able to travel out to the Asian shows. I know Japan has a really big one too. So that'll be very interesting to do. Is we're starting to wrap up because we're going almost 2.5 hours. We probably can go 4 hours talking on hognose and reptiles. Was there any topic or information that maybe we didn't discuss, or if you had any last minute questions for us on this side of the world?
应该还好，可能看看Alvaro 还有什么想了解关于亚洲啊、台湾啊，或者是这边的一些做法呀、环境啊什么的。我这边应该是
好，然后他也欢迎您，有说就是从东西半球隔这个半球，也欢迎您就是还有什么问题要跟他就是要交流。So for him, that he said he has shared all the practices and then their observations from Taiwan's breeding industry practice.
Great, thank you. I have two more questions for you, and then we'll say bye to our audience and stuff like that. One question is what was with Western Hognoses from the beginning to now? Is there one moment that was very difficult or was a hard to figure out for you? And how did you how did you solve the problem?
麻烦要翻译一下。
So Alvaro, both either hognose or the personal life, or is it just about
No, just hognose.
OK. 就是猪皮蛇的整个，您从进入这样一个繁殖或者说养育，那有没有一个特别困惑、挣扎或者很失败的一个阶段？ 然后慢慢
是，就我自己觉得，就是在 hobby 跟 business 之间的 balance，就是说，作为一个兴趣或者是作为一个事业，要怎么取得中间的平衡？因为我想，不管是 Alvaro 也好，或是我也好，我们会养到这么多，或是做到这样的程度，绝对是对于猪皮蛇抱持着很巨大的热情跟喜爱。那当你要把这一份热情跟喜爱，然后跟销售跟贩卖这个东西做结合的时候，一定会有挣扎跟取舍的时候。所以我觉得要从中间找到平衡，是我一直在努力的方向。对，因为我们通常都是看到什么喜欢的品系都会想要养，那养了之后又会太多又要去调整我们环境的数量状况，然后生了之后要去做销售。有一个很有趣的状况就是，市场上很多人想要买，但他们不一定买得到，他们会觉得很难买得到。但是销售者就是繁殖者，他又产量其实有的时候也有很多人产量是很多的， 他要怎么样能够找到让这些想买的人找到他们，然后建立起这个良好的交流的管道。我觉得这是接下来我很期待，我也希望能够越来越好的一个部分。
好的。So for him, he experienced through the transition from from hobbies to business. He described that so classified before is previously it's hobby, and then it transits to business. So from the passion and the love for Hognose, the original passion and love for Hognose has to be shifted to sale if it becomes a business. So for him, he was struggling with that because he has no clue how to sell and handling business side of his pet, and so he's still learning how to balance between the hobby and then the business. And it's interesting he note the buyers are on the market. There's so many of them want to purchase the Hognoses, but they feel there's very little um, ways to buy them. So for the breeders, the more and more they hatch, they like him. He's anxious to sell them. So how to match the breeder with the buyers is what he's going to work on, and to establish the channel and the pipeline for the business and the hobby.
That's very interesting. And I agree with you. This is my first year, producing the Western Hognose and selling them. And I as a business, you need to sell your product, right? Um, but sometimes you try to ask a couple extra questions to make sure that our animals are going to a place that they're going to be taken care of, and they're not going to be mistreated. And sometimes it's hard to maybe get all that information just through either text messages or emails. I think I had one experience like that this weekend, where I was a little glad that that person passed on buying a animal from us, from after, especially the conversation after why they didn't buy it. It was limited space and limited um, money that they had to take care of it. So I was like, okay, that was good. Where maybe if you would have bought it, it would have been not as taken care of properly and stuff like that. Like at least like I would. And I hope that everybody takes care of the animals that I sell to them as well as I am taking care of them. And I see that you have that same dilemma, but it's important because you take that passion and you work with the animals and you love these animals.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my last question that I ask all my guests is, if you had 5 minutes to have the attention of the whole world for them to hear you speak to them, what would you say to them?
是说如果我有5分钟，然后要跟世界上的其他人讲，要说什么吗？对吗？是关于 Hognose snake 吗？还是
does it same thing? Does it restrict to Hognoses or any topics?
Any topic.
对，开放话题。
Okay. 那我觉得应该就是其实也呼应我上一个在讲的事情，就是我有发现越来越多人把reptile 不只是 Hognose， 不只是猪鼻蛇，就是整个爬虫就是视为是一个投资，或者是以经营事业，或甚至是投资为目的去来经营或是繁殖。那我会希望就是说，大家都还是要基于对于动物的热爱，对于环境保育，对于动物的福利，然后还有就是遵照自己心中的热情去做这件事情，去饲养它们，去繁殖它们，不要完全只是为了好像利益。对，因为我觉得这样子是本末倒置的。而且如果你完全是为了利益去投入心力去做这件事情，你不会快乐的。你最后会发现你越做越痛苦，你甚至也没有真的赚到钱，然后你就会离开，然后会觉得永远在追逐，但是得不到任何成就。所以我觉 觉得要遵从内心自己的热情跟喜爱，你对这东西真的要爱，然后你尽全力的去投入，去推广它，让越来越多人接触爬虫，喜欢爬虫，了解它们，然后去有良性的交流跟互动，帮助这个产业越来越好。我希望，我期许，我也是希望对整个大家一起分享这件事情，我自己也在努力这件事情。
好，谢谢伊莲，我尽量翻，如果有补充，如果有遗漏，欢迎您补充。
No problem.
So to resonate with what we discussed, in this podcast about reptiles, he found there are more and more people start to regard the reptile as a career, as a reptile business, even as an investment. So they're managing reptile as in part of their life. So he hopes that everyone follows their passion with their to treat the reptile with love, to protect the reptile, their welfare, protect our environment. Do not do not follow the money, do not follow the material interest, because otherwise you are having the wrong chase. We should spare no efforts, use all our energies to communicate, to prosper, to help promote the reptile industry or the reptile world.
That's a great message. And I think that sometimes we do get blinded by the money that can possibly come with the reptile industry. But we all, like you said, we got to remember that this whole community, the reptile world, will not be anything without the animals. So thank you
Yes.
for that message.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you for accepting the invite. To come on this show. I know it's early over there, and but I like that was one of my goals with this podcast is to bring um, the community across the world together and share information and share our passion about about all types of species of reptiles and animals with everyone, and to be documented here on YouTube for anybody to be able to see it. I think it's very important for us to show our passion because it makes it you can see people that are not in our world of reptiles see how passionate we are and that it is a pet that somebody can learn and love and keep in their homes. So that's my biggest thing. And like I said, thank you. I want to say thank you to the viewers that were here with us the whole night, asking questions, very good questions. Thank you for support. Make sure you guys go in the description of this video is going to be Eaton Gray Matter Reptiles Instagram and website. So go ahead and follow him on Instagram and go check out his website. If you are, in Taiwan, message him. Maybe you guys can see some exclusive Hognose while you guys are out there. Again, also make sure you support US Arc Florida, because they help us with our reptiles and keeping them, and any legislations that might restrict on type and the quantity of reptiles we can keep. Also, make sure you follow us here on our subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, go follow us on all social media, and go check my morph market for any of the babies that you might be interested in. And we got a couple more videos of hatchlings that we have to set up. And then I'm just going to do a couple more videos of the hatchlings raising up and what's going to go on morph market. So everybody, good night. Thank you for joining us. Eaton and Leanne, thank you for joining us tonight. Leanne, you did a great job with the translation. It was really well done. And once I disconnect, stay on in here so we can. I had a couple questions I wanted to ask in the background. But like I said, thank you very much, everybody. Have a good night, and I'll see you guys on